Good afternoon. I would like to call to order the Gladstone Community Center Advisory Board meeting on this Tuesday, October 15th, 2024 at 3:31 p.m. I will now read into the record that the City of Gladstone is abiding by guidelines outlined in House Bill 2560, which requires the governing body of the public body, to the extent reasonably possible, to make all meetings accessible remotely through technological means and provide opportunities for members of the general public to remotely submit oral and written testimony during meetings to extent in-person oral and written testimony is allowed. Therefore, this meeting will be open to the public, both in person and virtually, using the Zoom platform. This is a special work session meeting that the board requested. And so there will be no approval of minutes. We will not vote on anything. We will have no business from the community center or foundation, but we still are recording. Haley, would you please do the roll call?
Evelyn Johannesson, Sylvia Kellner,
Present.
Simona Gergashon,
Present.
Mindy Prosky,
Present.
Roxanne McMullen,
Present.
Josie Whitaker,
Present.
Sharon Howard.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, so the agenda, we still do have a little bit of an agenda. So we're gonna talk about what we would like our work plan for the 2025 into 2026 years will look like. We're gonna talk about regularity of meetings, if there's anything that we would like to change. And then we'll talk about some advisory board vacancies that are coming up at the end of this calendar year. So everybody received a copy of the Community Center Advisory Board Chapter 2.70, which just goes over our purposes of being on the board. And you also received a copy of the work plan for 2024, so that we can talk about what, if any, carryover into the new work plan. So what I was thinking is we could basically just kind of start going through the work plan in 2024 to help us figure out the work plan for 25 to 26. Okay. So the very first one, expand multi-generational classes at the Gladstone Community Center. There has been an increase in multi-generational programs, like the Pen Pals, and things like that. What I just was thinking to myself is, and I'm so glad that Michelle is here, I was wondering if we have seen a more diverse age range in any of the classes that are held at the community center.
Yes and no. We didn't ever used to have any different age range, and now we are seeing a bit of an influx. Lunch, we've have a couple new participants that are, I would say, maybe in the 30 to 40 demographic coming in for lunch. Not any young, no one under 21, I would say, really, unless it's like a program like the John Wetton. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I will make the exception. Over the summer, we did have for craft hour and some Disney movies that we played, because we play a movie on the fourth Wednesday of each month. We had large groups of kids come in to watch the movie or craft hour. So
Good.
I think if the programming was there, we might have a different demographic. So
Great.
I was wondering, do people around town think about coming there for lunch, Or do they think or can we supply something like that?
Yeah.
Instead of going to a restaurant,
Um,
it's not really set up for something like that, though.
What do you mean supply? You mean like where there's a variety of things to order besides what?
Oh, no, they'd have to like what's on the menu.
yeah, I mean, our lunch is open to everyone to come in. Yeah, anyone can come in anytime.
That's great.
We have our salad bar. The only difference is, I guess, for seniors versus anyone under 60 is it's a required $5 to come to our lunch
Mhm.
versus if you're over 60, it's just a suggested donation. I- I'm open to suggestions of how we get more people to come in for congregate meals. Different things we could do. So we only serve lunch Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're always open to people ask all the time if we could do a potluck once a month or have something different on the days that we don't serve lunch. We're definitely open to those suggestions if we think that, it would bring people in. So yeah, we throw around stuff like that all the time. We're doing everything I think that we can. We push it on social media and we also put it in the newsletter. I don't know what the disconnect is.
I think the newsletter is a great resource.
I
like
love
that
our
all of-
newsletter.
All of the things that are available and coming up are posted. I
Mhm.
was wondering if you've ever done any research about, say, maybe the Milwaukee Club to see what kind of community visits that center. Phil and I went over there, Phil, my husband, went over there to check out. He's a pool player. He used to play down here and now that's gone, but it was never set up to their liking anyway. But that group is pretty much still seniors. And I think some of it has to do with people who are in the working age group are not going to go to the center. But I was wondering how their transition from senior to community center has changed who goes there as well. I think those are all questions we could tap into. They were ahead of us by a few years in doing that. We could tap into some of their advertising, some of their plans, maybe some of their offerings.
I think the main difference with Milwaukee is they're Parks and Rec. And so they can tap into their full catalog of Parks and Rec activities, which is a great idea, Roxanne, if we could possibly maybe revisit tapping into Clackamas Community College's catalog. If, say, we were doing our own programming, could we find some kind of partnership? We don't have a Parks and Rec department here, but we do have Clackamas Community College who offers activities and classes
Mhm.
that maybe they could put in their catalog.
Yeah.
So those are all ideas that I think would be worth looking into. Yes, I've visited not only that center, but up in Oregon City as well, and Lake Oswego and Malala. It's an older population that is at all of the centers, even though they've rebranded to community center.
Yeah, I have a friend who goes to Pioneer
Yeah.
to play cards.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
neat thing.
Well, we have a lot of card players.
We do.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe
Michelle.
all the pinnacle.
Do the
players.
luncheons sometimes have like the seasonal kind of allure to them? Like, let's say, for Halloween, for, Harvest Festival, something like fall, like more,
Yeah.
I'm just asking. I don't know how.
They do.
Okay.
So
That's great.
we're getting ready to come. We do plan some of our own meals, but as many of you know, we also have a contract where we order our food through Trio, which is a company up in Salem. And so we don't cook our own meals on site. And frankly, we don't have a big enough kitchen or the staffing that we could do that anyways. These
Mhm.
kitchens that cook their own meals have staff of 10 or more in their kitchen alone. But we do try to do things like we're having a Halloween party in October, or this month, the end of this month. We'll have our normal lunch, but we'll set up like a dessert station and like a
Mhm.
fun punch. We'll do Friendsgiving where we will have like, not serve the normal meal that day and have turkeys and cook our own food those days. So we do have special
Nice.
dates set up.
Mhm.
And I will say on those like Friendsgiving last year, I think there was 120 people that came to that.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Were any of you there?
Is
Very
that
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of people there. We
It's
cooked.
great. It was really,
That's-
really nice. I
Yeah.
brought, you can bring a guest, so I brought a guest with me.
Wonderful.
Neighbor of
Nice.
mine.
Yeah, I cooked everything from scratch. It was
did that?
good. Hmm.
Wow.
I mean, a lot of help with volunteers. This year we have a chef, an actual chef
Yeah.
who is going to prepare the whole Thanksgiving dinner.
Ooh, nice.
So
Oh, I'm coming to that one.
There
yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
And the Gladstone
you-
Seniors Foundation sponsors that for anyone over 60. They don't have to pay anything.
That's very cool.
So that's just one of the many things that they do.
One thing I might suggest is in the future newsletter, I don't know if the one's already been printed for the Gladstone newsletter in the schedule for November, but you might put in there all ages encouraged to come with when you're mentioning the meals that are served. But one thing I wanted to share is I live in a mobile home park, the Two Rivers over on River Road. And I've invited people before, asked them, because I say I go to the lunches here, and I've had people, one guy say, "Oh, that's just a bunch of old folks." And this gentleman that said that is like 3 years older than me. He's become a friend. I've gone out to eat with him a couple of times. And I said, he's kind of looking for a girlfriend. He said, well, if you come to the lunches, that might be one way that you could meet some women. And then another woman that's become a friend of mine that lives in the park. She's younger than me. Her mother's 90, and she's been trying to get her to come over here. And she goes, "Oh, those are a bunch of old folks." And she's not. Her name's Mabel.
I think I met
Yeah.
her down at the donut shop.
Oh, did you?
She was talking.
Was she on a cart? One of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes down the red and white blue thrift store all the time, and she's always buying stuff. And my friend, her daughter Linda, says that her and her sister have to go through it every once in a while because she just fills it up with all this stuff, and she's trying to give it away to people. Nobody wants it. It's just knickknacks and stuff. She doesn't. It gives her something to do to go down there, so they just let her. But her sight's affected, and I don't know how many she doesn't know. I mean, 90, almost 91. So
Well, it's
it
going to
doesn't.
take a while,
To-
for people to realize.
Oh, I know,
that
it's
the community
It will.
center. It's, for
It's there,
everyone.
but-
So
Well,
it takes a while.
but
Down there.
They're old.
Put a-
I know.
You
I
know.
know.
Maybe put something up on a board.
Well, I'd have to get approval to put it up in the clubhouse there. But yeah, I've talked to various people. I said, "Oh yeah, well, I don't know. I think I know it's there, but I just never. I forget about going down there." And a lot of people tell me they get that newsletter
They give it the.
Yeah.
and they just throw it away, or
Oh,
they recycle
Too
it.
bad.
So I never read it.
that
I said-
cover to cover, line by line.
And I've told people, I said, there's trips they have that you can go on.
Yeah.
But the people that live in that park, they're just set on
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like a micro world to them, and
Yeah,
and that's their whole world.
It's
Gossiping about other people, and
for sure.
that's one of the reasons I try to explain to people. I said, well, I don't go there when I talk about, I said, well, they said, why don't you go down and play the games at the clubhouse? I said, well, I know a lot of people here in the park, so I choose to go down there and socialize because
They're your neighbor.
yeah, it's just like too close to home.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's,
Mm.
but anyway,
So do you feel like that would be a good way to get out what we're doing at the community center is maybe visit some of these places. And you know how we do lunch and learns there? Maybe we go around to, I don't know,
I think
a
that
park
would be
and we
great.
have volunteers and
Have those little tracks.
Yeah.
With all can when they look and see how much is going on, and what classes. They're like, hey,
I mean, please, anyone give me suggestions. I ask people this all the time. My boss especially, how do I get more people to come?
mhm.
And I never get like a solid, I mean, basically what you said, Mindy, it takes time.
It does take time.
But
Yeah.
anyone who knows me, I'm like, no, I want them to come
Yeah.
now. Like, how do we get them to come?
Well, I
don't know.
think that any outreach, is a good thing.
Mhm.
If there was something, let's use Sharon's environment as an example. There's a clubhouse,
Right.
right? She would have to get permission to post anything on the board in the clubhouse. That's okay,
That's one way, yeah.
but there's also room to have some kind of a gathering. So if you thought that this was a really target demographic, maybe there is a way to book that clubhouse at lunchtime and have just an info session.
Or do you
whatever
guys
that
have
looks
monthly
like.
meetings? Like where participants?
Well, there's a board meeting, and then the part of that's open, but it's about business within the park.
Oh.
It's not really open for that. But they do have other things they do. For example, I noticed they had a year ago, they had Trust of Oregon come and do a talk regarding mobile home replacement. And then several people signed up, and there were 4 people in our park that got their homes completely replaced, demolition and everything. And it's a loan-free thing.
Wow.
And so I noticed they have another meeting tomorrow about that. I don't know. It's a different program than the one they had. There were 20 mobile homes that were placed in the state of Oregon through that program this last year. And they signed up in the fall and they were all done in the spring.
Wow.
So it was, I thought it was going to take a lot longer, but once anyway, so that's an example. They'll bring something that's related to the park. But yeah, we could have, you can contact, there's people there Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 12. You could call and talk to somebody that's one of the board members that sits in the office and answers questions. So that's something that if you wanted to see if there was a time that you could.
I'm wondering if transportation might be a bit of an issue.
Well, there are some people in the park that get the Meals on Wheels and get the food box.
Mhm.
And they also participate in the weekly shopping where they're picked up by the
So transportation.
yeah,
would have
they
to
do get
be,
picked up to go to the Safeway
provided.
shopping. So I don't know how many people, but I know a couple people in our park that are participating in that. So they know about the programs.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this is just
Yeah.
something that we'll just kind of, keep on our radar. And,
Yeah.
anytime we have a demographic that we think that we could do some kind of an outreach, lunch and learn type of a thing with, that would be great to explore further.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that they might be open to that if you had an informational thing, if you want to contact on those hours and talk to one of the board members and find out if they could do an informational. And then if they agree to it and it's set up, then there's a whiteboard on each side of that clubhouse. And there's one also in the back of the park that's posted on a laundry room building. And anything that's going on, like meetings, like that Trust of Oregon meeting tomorrow about mobile home replacement program, they'll post it. So if you were to ask if you could have you could provide snacks, because they have a full kitchen in the clubhouse. That's a brand new remodeled 2 years ago clubhouse, and they have an outdoor pool there too that's getting redone. But it's beautiful, full kitchen in there, so you could have snacks, and there's a coffee maker. So that's a possibility. just to inform people about what's going on at the Gladstone Community Center. And I'd be glad to go join you for that.
If they're not opening up the newsletter, then everything you say is going to be like, wow.
Well, another thing is
Book
maybe,
clinic? What?
maybe you could do a calendar
I love
poster
it.
type thing that they could put in the clubhouse
Totally.
Oh.
for people to see.
Well,
That.
have the,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we do have those monthly the
Exactly.
handouts that on both sides have, they're the same thing when you opened up the Gladstone newsletter.
yeah,
It's on both sides. All the activities and classes are on the left side, and the meals, the schedule for the month
Yeah.
is on. That's the same thing, but it's just a one pager, and it's very,
Mhm.
so, I mean, we could have some of those available. I could take some over, but again, I'm sure it would be, another thing is those trip things that you have.
Yeah.
That's another thing, but I think just if you want to check, if you want to do a informational thing, we might look at it some other places that we might be able to,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Absolutely. Well,
Anyway.
going back to this being part of the work plan, expand multi-generational classes at the Gladstone Community Center. That's what was on the work plan.
Mhm.
It says classes. So I don't know. I kind of wanted to just open it up to the group to see if perhaps, because I think that needs to stay.
Mhm.
Because it's kind of ongoing,
Yeah.
but maybe we expand it a little bit so it's not
Sure.
just classes.
Yeah.
Maybe we say, expand multi-generational services, programs, and activities
I would say activities.
at the Gladstone Community Center. Like, just kind of, it's not just classes, it's services, activities, different programs. Like the Pen Pal's a program. The activities could be the classes,
Mhm.
and the special like Friendsgiving, kinds of things and everything. So we're not just like limiting it to classes. I don't know. What do
Yeah,
y'all
yeah.
think?
Yes.
Of classes. Number 4 on our list last year was to strengthen and reinstate our relationship with the community schools. That's not how it's going, is it? We're going in the opposite direction from that.
Correct.
What
Um,
happened?
well, I don't want to, I'm not sure anything happened per se. The community center, as you all know, is a very small space.
Yes.
We do not have adequate space to have the school there and have our own classes. So I feel like that's a portion of it. We could never do our own programming. So from an internal, point, from an external, we offered to offer the community school the same rate that every other group pays to use our facility. And that didn't fit with their plan. So they could not pay that same portion that say Rotary or anyone else that's using our space, because when they're using it, we can't use it, right? There's no way for us to,
Costs.
Yes.
It costs the center.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
and we facilitate, we move, you see us moving all those tables every day, the chairs, everything. Yeah. So we're putting in all that work, but there's no money that's being generated for the community center at that
Mhm.
point. And without them being able to pay for those spaces, and that was up to them, and they weren't able to do that, we decided that's fine, but we need to utilize that space where we can bring in some revenue for the city as well. And that looked in the form of having our own programs, which staff were excited about that because we were never able to program before or even think about programs because there's only so much time in the day, and community school took up most of
So
those time
the
slots.
community school look upon this as some sort of competition, or are they
We will never,
stepping back?
yeah, no, we would never compete with any of the classes that they're doing. We would never want to do that. We want to have a really strong relationship with the school always. If say a lot of their classes, if it wasn't at the community center, are going to be night classes though, right? Because
Right.
they have to use school facilities. So that does leave us open. And we're going to have, I'm sure, a lot of conversations with the school district of how that's going to look for everybody, to feel comfortable with that. As far as day classes go, though, if they're unable to hold a day yoga class and they're no longer able to do that, we could fill that void, right? Because they're not going to be able to do that anyways. Same with if they're not able to fill that day art class because they don't have the space, they don't have a facility to do that. But those are just ongoing conversations that we're going to have with the school, but it'll never be our intention to poach any of their programs. So,
Right.
and with that said, we would love to know what the community, and I think along the lines of what Mindy was going with this, as far as classes, how do we figure out what classes, if that's one of our goals, that we're going to have our own programming at the community center, what classes are those going to be?
Right.
How do we go about getting the community's input? How do we make sure to, include everyone and see what is the need? And I would love to hear from you guys, what you guys think
I
is the
have an
need.
I
idea.
think
A
Simona
survey?
was lit up.
Survey's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I think, and just some of the things that come to my mind, like other intergenerational classes would be like martial arts. I mean, there are
That's
kids,
exactly what I was thinking.
kids really
I was
like that kind of thing.
I was thinking more
Um,
on the self-defense actually classes than specifically martial
Well,
arts.
it could be
which is-
self-defense and,
Yeah, yeah.
The Portland Police Department offers a self-defense,
Exactly.
women's self-defense class. I took it after I was almost abducted by two men at a bus stop in the 90s. So I found out about it and I went and took it, but I didn't work out at that gym anymore. And anyway, that was a long time ago, but it was a scary situation.
I
So-
think some form of self-defense, we should all have some basic ideas.
Yes.
Other than, freezing and, giving everything you've got on you. So some, for all ages and in collaboration with the police department, that would be fantastic to have a self-defense.
Perhaps a second language class.
Sure.
I would love to learn to speak.
Yes, that would be fantastic. I was
you-
also thinking, and I'm not sure if I'm thinking that there might be some kind of plan to what I'm about to say, like a safety net within the community, like when it comes to some emergency,
Like
I
the
might not-
gems?
Pardon?
Like the gems?
I don't know what that is.
You're breaking my heart right now. We're not doing our job correctly.
No, if she doesn't know what the gems are. Oh, no.
The community center houses Gladstone Emergency Management Team. If there is ever an emergency, please tell everyone in Gladstone that you know.
Now I do.
Yes.
Okay.
Please spread the word. If there is ever an emergency, we are the central location where you're going to come for information.
Yep.
Okay.
We have a generator. We are a warming and a cooling center in the summer, warming center in the winter. If there's ever mass power outages, this is going to be the spot where the community is going to come to get that information of what we're going to do next as a community. So
Mhm.
please spread the word that is the Gladstone Community Center.
That's fantastic to know. And then I would also think on a more detailed scale. For example, like even like almost within the same corner street. I'll give you an example. Mom can still be on her own for now, while I'm away working. But if something happens and I cannot get to her, nobody would know that she's there in the basement apartment. Like someone that would have designated buddies, to say, hey, in case of an emergency, make sure you call Mary. Mary's on her own. You know what I mean? And then you make sure you knock on her door, contact the family, or some way to ensure that nobody's left behind in a situation of emergency, like know your neighbors or having a contact, exchanging information, like a more detailed plan. Because this is general, I know to come to Gladstone, but mom doesn't drive. She's 85. You know what I mean? And if I don't get to her, then she's stuck.
So we offer, one of our members offers to come and do block parties at anyone in Gladstone's neighborhood. You put on a party and they come and basically talk to your neighborhood about what you would do as a neighborhood. Because you're right. You're in an emergency, you're not going anywhere. You're going to rely on your neighbors. So we could talk about that because we do have something in place, and it's basically just facilitating this gathering of your neighborhood where you guys are all exchanging information. You're finding out which ones of your neighbors are doctors, which ones of your neighbors are electricians, which, who does what in your neighborhood. Where it comes down to it, what can they do to help? You exchange numbers. It's like a full telephone tree of your neighbors. And in an emergency, this is your support team.
That's fantastic.
So we can talk about that.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
There's some really interesting statistics out
Mhm.
there that show survivability rates directly depend on your neighbors. It's
Wow.
not going to be the fire department. It's not
Yeah.
going to be the police department. It's not going to be FEMA, not for a while.
Yeah.
So it's in the direct aftermath of an emergency. It's going to be your neighbors.
They don't live on my street.
Well, mine either, but anyway, just, but so yes,
But that makes
that's an
sense, Joe.
incredibly
I'm
important
delighted
thing
that that's
to
in place.
talk about.
Didn't the police department have a neighborhood block party or neighborhood?
Oh, they
Thing.
used to do that. Oh, yeah. Oak Ridge had a couple of those.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
but it was the police department that,
It's called Neighbors Helping Neighbors.
Ha! I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have an emergency preparedness committee in our mobile home park, so
That's very.
that's already
natural.
been brought
that's
up, and
really,
it's,
really important.
and I've been to a few of those. They have an annual meeting every year, but they're working on, and we've had the fire department come and talk anyway.
That's really right.
Counselor Huckabee has her hand up, so we're going to bring her in.
Thank you.
I'm
I
so
had-
sorry. We didn't
Can
see
you hear
you.
me okay? No, I just
didn't
put
even
it
know
up.
she was
so
there.
There was no delay there. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I can't.
Excellent, thank you. A couple thoughts come to mind when you speak about martial arts. There is a group that's well known to our community, actually, by the name of Aikido Northwest. That is a martial art that is founded in self-defense. How to react if you need to. It is very different than jujitsu or karate.
Right.
It's a peaceful martial art. And a lot of our Gladstone kids actually go there, and adults. So that might be, a resource that we could reach out to. And if they're not available, maybe they have, another connection.
Yeah.
And then my other thought was, we're speaking of the newsletter and how to get out, communications about what's going on. And the younger generations are not reading that newsletter. It's just not happening. Their parents might be, others in their household, but the younger generation isn't picking that up and reading it. So I was curious if maybe something that would directly affect them, like maybe we could partner with Raymond at the school district, who's responsible for all school district communications. If we have a calendar or special class or event, if you can just put a little blurb in there. That also goes out via email, and each student, I know at least at the high school, has a school email that they have to use. So that might be a good way to help get information out.
It's
Can
true.
we do
If it's not
Facebook?
on TikTok, no, the youth don't do Facebook.
Or blogging or.
They-
Some of them do.
Yeah, some of them, I suppose, but it's it's a TikTok world. It's a
I'd say more Instagram.
Insta, yeah.
Instagram.
Insta's
Yeah.
huge. So, we could think about just the social media that the different generations use.
Yeah.
Aren't we on
that's-
Instagram?
We are.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
But I definitely think that was a great point to utilize
Yeah.
the emails through the school district. And I have talked to them before and they are really supportive of any information we want to get out there to put that out for us. So
Great.
thank you for bringing that up.
What about the classes we already have in the center?
Like Tai Chi and
Are those separate from the Gladstone Community School?
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
So
but we don't charge for anything that we've had classes
correct.
for.
You don't charge for the Tai Chi?
Mm-mm,
No.
They offer it for free
No,
to everyone.
He's a volunteer.
Oh.
However, it could, yeah, we have different chair exercise. I always see that as free. Tai Chi, I could definitely see talking to Gary and finding out,
Mhm.
is he now an instructor and this is now a nominal charge for people to take Tai Chi at our center? Is this one of our initial classes that we have there?
Mm.
It used to be through the community schools, but because of his philosophy on vaccination, he could no longer be one of their instructors. And it was offered through the community schools. I'm in my 12th year.
Yeah.
The fact that it is offered free of charge at our center really appealed to a lot of the seniors who
Yeah.
really can't afford to pay for it.
Mhm.
And they are the lingering clients. They're the lingering classes. You see the classes expand and then they kind of fizzle down, but the core are the ones that come and they're in a certain price range, which is
Yeah.
0.
Well, there could be a grandfather clause in this too. I mean, there's ways to
Yeah,
kind
I
of
like
figure
that.
out,
Yeah.
when you change programming,
Mhm.
going from a zero cost to a nominal cost, sometimes you grandfather people in.
Mhm.
There could also be a sliding scale. So, all of that, however, comes at an administrative, burden, which is really, one of the things that we really do have to be cognizant of in this transition to not using the Gladstone Community Schools, who literally did everything, to bringing it all in-house, which is super exciting. But, at the same time,
How is that going to affect staffing and? administrative
absolutely. I
time?
mean, we have registration, a catalog, or some kind of advertisement, taking payments, finding vetting instructors, not competing with the community schools programming. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. There's also in regards to bringing in more youth participation. Of course, they're in school all day. So when's the most available time, for youth to come in and do something? It's right after school, but the community center closes at 4:30.
Yeah.
4, excuse me. Not a lot of time for those after school kind of programming. So lots to think about.
Yeah.
And of
Well,
course,
we're not only talking about kids, we're talking about adults.
of course. But we're
You know,
also talking about
30, 40.
multi-generational too, well,
Yeah.
we were talking about specifically like martial arts for all ages,
Right.
Yeah.
and things like that.
Well,
I'm
the
wondering
schools
if-
have martial arts, so is that a competition?
Well,
Well, these are all things that we have to consider.
but there's gotta be, some allowance here. Yes, we don't want to compete with schools, but we can have similar classes without
Yeah.
competing, you
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
you
it's
know,
just
on the
everything just
line
has to be
of-
considered,
Well,
you know?
of
like,
course.
yeah, we just
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to
There's
be
so many
considerate
details
about
to
it. But yeah, I think that there's probably enough that we can
Totally.
we can kind of come up with our own programming, even if it overlaps a little bit with
Yeah.
a class that exists at
And I
the.
was thinking the gentleman that does the volunteer Tai Chi class that's free, maybe he can, like after that class is over, kind of segue into the paid part of it, you know, if he wants to extend the time for
He-
the next class where people can pay for it, you
He,
know.
he has 3 levels. The advanced is the one at 9 o'clock. The intermediate's 10 and the beginning is at 11 o'clock. So
Mhm.
that's a possibility. And then I like the idea of the sliding fee scale.
Yeah,
Maybe beginning could be free
sure.
or people, could be a sliding fee scale. I know
It
that
should be the
a
one.
lot of the older people take it. We have one lady there that just started this last week that her physical therapist recommend the Tai Chi class.
Mhm.
So that's Anne. She started taking it for coordination. She walks with a walker. So
Yeah.
a lot of people, it's recommended for people that have
It's a
coordination
very
problems.
gentle form of
Yeah.
Mhm.
martial arts and
So,
and
but-
helps with balance and all that.
we could also look at, you're talking about different timeframes. If you wanted to say offer martial arts, that's just an example, like 2 nights a week or something, 4:30 or 5 o'clock. I mean, we'd have to extend our hours.
Mhm.
So we could do a trial for 3 months of a class and see what the outcome is, or 8 weeks.
But how is that
That's-
affecting the
Well,
schedule of?
Exactly. So you have to, in expanding the hours, you also have to expand paying the staff to keep it
Or
open.
augmenting their hours or something, yes.
So, it all of this comes with a
Right.
pretty serious administrative burden.
Does it?
Now,
Exactly.
I use
Yeah.
the word burden,
Does it?
not in a
Yes.
negative connotation,
Yes.
just as a reality of it. So,
Mm.
all of this is really great and exciting, but oh my gosh, I'm like, it's so much work.
Yes, it is a
So,
lot of work.
okay.
And the instructor that we have in the Tai Chi program is volunteering his time, has been, he is an older person, and I'm
Mhm.
not sure how
How
long
long?
he's
Yeah.
going to continue to do this. But when you start adding the cost of keeping the center open even at
Mhm.
night, they used to do that for the community schools. They had to do cleaning, they had utilities,
Mhm.
they had to have somebody on deck there. Even a volunteer would come in and do that for nothing. But when you start offering classes that you're
Mhm.
going to have to advertise, you're going to have
Mhm.
to pay for, you're going to have to collect the money, you're going to
Mhm.
have to have staff on site to do that.
But I
we have
thought,
that.
that this was considered as we're trying
Well, that's
to
why we're having a
expand.
work session
Because
to
if we're
find
going
out
to expand
if
and
it has
add
been,
classes.
what lies ahead.
Well, it could be that in its infancy, so starting out with this new type of programming, perhaps we do work within the constraints of the existing hours of operation and we see how it goes. Start generating revenue, see how it goes, and
Mhm.
then expand. I mean,
Well-
this is not a one and done, right?
Well, sure.
This is
There
going to be an
has to be a
evolving
way to
kind of a
balance
thing.
this.
So maybe that's just the first point is figure out some programming within the time frame that the center is already open, already staffed, kind of get our feet wet,
Mhm.
with something like that, start generating some revenue, and then maybe it's great. And then we can say we do have some money now to pay for a staff member to do an extra hour twice a week. I mean,
Well,
it's
we
just a thought.
already, I just was at a will and trust meeting from 6 to 7:30
Mhm.
last week by the community school,
Well,
where we had a volunteer stay,
You-
open it up and stay.
She's not a volunteer though. We have to pay her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a paid relief person for
Oh,
evening
okay.
classes.
Well,
So,
you also mentioned activities too. So those activities could, we haven't really discussed too much of those. I had some ideas on activities, but we were talking about classes. But there's other things that can be activities that could be intergenerational too.
Yeah.
So,
But
Well,
if,
yeah.
You
but
said to bring
now
those
I'm
ideas.
wondering, Michelle, maybe if you can give us what are our parameters? Like, if I know that there's so many more hours that we can fill within the schedule that it is right now without causing that act of burden of having to stay over and having to cough extra money, right? If we have an idea what is left to fill in, then maybe it gives us a better idea of what we can fit in within those time frames every day, is it Monday to Friday? then?
Mhm.
Monday through Friday.
You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like,
We'll be able to easily accommodate 5 or more classes a week, every day.
okay,
Yeah, because
Okay.
like we have art through the community school presently. We have Zumba, we have twice a week, we have art, all afternoon, twice a week, and then sporadic ones put in there, at different times. And then we have yoga, in the afternoon on Thursdays now. So we have plenty of time spaces
That's the community school
is using now, but moving
collecting.
forward, yeah.
mhm.
When does that, are they going to continue to use the center through the end of this academic year? So
Yes.
through June?
We don't have we might have an actual date that we're cutting ties, but
Okay.
I don't have that
Okay,
right
we don't
offhand.
have that right now. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
No, that's okay. So, we kind of jumped from number 1 on the work plan to number 4, which is okay. Because number 4 is kind of done, right? We're not reinstating and
Okay.
we're not strengthening the partnership. We are actually dissolving,
Check.
but
Oh, no.
And does everyone feel like that's the best interest of the center?
At
I mean,
least
I
for
just-
now, yeah.
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 I feel personally that, we're at a crossroads. We offered to let the programming stay the way it is and just asked to be reimbursed.
Mhm.
They declined.
Mhm.
I don't really see any other path forward
Yeah.
than trying to, we either stay the way it is
Okay.
or we move forward and we try
Mhm.
something different.
Well, things change.
Things
As
change.
time,
We're
things
evolving.
evolve. Exactly.
Exactly.
So-
So what we need to do is we need to, formulate a new goal, because this one is done. And so, we're going to need to come up with some language, for the work plan for 25 to 26 that says something about establishing in-house programming of classes at the Gladstone Community Center, something like that. Y'all can.
Is that
wordsmith it.
related to number 1? Or is
No,
this-
it's number 4.
Number 4.
So this will be,
Well, it is, but number 1 is really talking about the expansion,
Expansion.
of the multi-generational aspects of things. Just basically what number 1 means is that with programming, activities, classes, we're all trying to think about how that can encompass everybody
Yeah.
in the community. All age groups, all nationalities, everything, right? So that's just our overall like
Outreach.
umbrella
Would
kind
that
of.
be an outreach?
That, and just,
Yeah.
For what?
Outreach? Would that be an outreach? How to encompass everyone, or would that be part
No,
of it?
number one's just basically staying the same.
Yeah.
We're just carrying
Yeah.
it, carrying it forward, right?
Forward
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
new year.
Ongoing, right?
Yeah.
ongoing.
It's an
Yeah.
ongoing, okay.
Yeah.
I do have a question. In the last, when you were talking about number 4, you talked about um, discontinuing the community school involvement in the community center. Is that what you mean? That
Yeah.
you want
Yes.
that to end after this year, or?
That is happening. If
It
we
is.
decide to, we ask them to pay for the space that they are now getting for
Using
free.
for the class, yeah.
Yeah, and they declined
Okay, so,
that option. So our only option going forward, if we don't want to stay the way it is that we need to dissolve that partnership. And
And
then we need to
It
establish.
isn't just a matter of not getting income. It's how much it costs us to do that with them because it
Right.
puts us in the hole. It's
because you're not
even
making
breaking
enough
even would
money
be
off
better
of the
than-
rental.
And they're
yeah.
using the space, so
Yeah.
we can't use the space.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes,
Okay.
so initially, basically what we're talking about is the goal that we did have. Number 4 is we tried it, and it's actually going to be dissolving the relationship in a very nice and the most accommodating way we can possibly be, right?
Yeah.
So to replace that goal, because it is talking about, the classes, the programming, is that, and again, as a team, as a board, we can wordsmith this, but being something about the goal for, the work plan for 2025 and 2026 is going to be to somehow establish in-house programming of classes at the center.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yep.
That's
Community school programs. So,
Hmm?
well, they're community school, we're crossing that and doing community center programs basically now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Establish
So-
community-based programs at the community center. I don't know. That's just something that came to my mind.
Community center.
So we have to establish.
Mm-hmm. Community
Because they'd use
center,
community programs.
creative
Establish
programs.
programming. Do we want to say I don't know, in-house doesn't sound right, but
No,
at the
because
same
you already
time-
have
About
community
on-site.
center in there.
That's true.
How about
Programs,
on-site?
On-site programming.
On-site programming of classes. Do we want to call it the community center program? Or are we just talking about just establishing programming?
It's a project,
It's-
right?
Yeah, I think it's just to
establish
be an
community
ongoing.
center on-site programs or programming.
Classes and programs.
Which you could put comma, which includes classes and other activities. I don't know.
So maybe on one, we get rid of classes, just
Yeah.
so it's not confusing.
Well, that's why I said that we did need to kind of wordsmith that one a little bit more to perhaps say services, programs, and activities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we cut out classes and now we've moved classes down here to establish community center classes.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
And then we don't have, yeah,
right.
perfect.
Yeah.
We have-
So the number 1 is still talking about how we are always going to be cognizant of the multi-generational aspect of our mission statement.
Mhm.
But we're gonna get rid of classes and we're gonna open it up to, be services, programs, and activities. And then yes, number 4 goes into now we're going to establish community center
Classes.
on-site programming of classes, something like that.
That's
right?
going to be another statement.
Yes.
That almost sounds like a repeat of the other one.
It's not.
No,
No.
it's a
It's not.
number 4. It's
We dropped
replacing the
classes out
school.
of number 1 because we want to, number 4 is going to be specific to offering classes to the community.
And not just offering, but programming.
Yeah.
That we have to do all of the programming of those classes.
Mhm.
So it's not just offering classes. It's the full
It's actually
deal.
deciding on what 5 more classes we can add.
It's
Specifically,
it's figuring out the programming,
The schedule.
vetting instructors, scheduling, figuring out how to take payments, how to advertise. It's all of it. Programming encompasses a huge amount of administrative work.
but we have to determine what we're going to program first, right? What
Not to come up with the work plan, no. So you know how this is our work plan for
This is
2024,
a
just
work
statements?
plan.
That's what we need to do for 25 and 26.
Okay.
So we're just coming up with a goal
Just a
statement. Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So what did you
Pull me
decide
back.
to be number 4 again?
She's ready to go. She wants to go. She wants all the activities listed on the work. plan.
I'm sorry, how much
To
time do
know
we
who's
have?
gonna
No,
do
I'm
the
kidding.
I
classes.
love it. I know, I love it. I'm sorry, Sharon.
Uh,
To do it.
Yeah, what
my
did
God.
you decide that thought was a good number 4 plan? You're going to keep number 3 the same, is that?
Well, we haven't even talked about 2
No.
or 3
2 and
yet.
3.
So,
I thought we already said that 2 was establish community center services, activities and programs.
No,
No.
no.
look at the number 2. It's a new brand and
Last year's
logo.
Advisory board.
Yeah,
work
are you
plan.
looking at the
Yes,
work plan for 2024?
yes, I've looked at that, but you've talked about a number of things, so I thought we were talking about.
No,
other
we talked
things.
about number 1 and
Yes,
then
I
we
realized
switched to
that.
number
Number
4.
Mhm.
Because Roxanne wanted to talk about number 4.
Because we like to, because we like
Well,
to
I'm
mix
calling
things
it
a
number
little.
2, but it is number 4.
Yes, that's correct.
is.
So what was the
Yes.
second part of that after establishing community center service activities and programs? There was
Well-
another part of that statement. Something about the programs and,
No, so just 1 is just going to be basically the same.
Yes, I've got
Except
that.
we're crossing classes and changing it to services, programs and activities. So
Right.
that'll be 1. And then 4 is going to be establish community center on-site programming and classes. And those are the only 2 we've got so far now. So now we need to visit 2 and 3.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, 2's done.
2 is done. There we go. High
Check.
five all
Woo!
around.
That
Check.
was hard.
Doing the wave.
2's done. Okay, so
3's done.
Can we?
3 is
repeat-
not done.
Can we
Oh.
repeat it?
Yes, we
Can you reapply next year?
well, applying for grant funds to develop a master site plan was the original goal. We did that. There was a grant to the Oregon Department of Human Services Office of Resilience and Emergency Management for $50,000 and it was not awarded.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's back to square one.
Fine.
So this does leave the community center without the necessary funds for the ADA improvements and a master site plan. So more grant opportunities will start pretty much now, fall of 2024. So it's just a matter of trying to go out there and find some more grants, apply for them and, see what can happen. So
Who's
the,
doing that, Mindy? Do we have a grant person?
we do not have a grant person any longer.
I will
Um,
be applying for the grants
You
for the
will do
community
that
center.
yourself? Okay.
I'm looking into the
Yeah.
community development block grant right now, which hopefully will encompass the master site plan and the ADA doors.
Okay.
So
Cool beans.
fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
due.
Your help?
She moved to Florida and is living her best life.
Takes a nerve.
I know. I don't know what else would do without volunteers, but I'm gonna have to figure it out with this
Yeah.
one.
yeah.
So yeah, it's
thank you
not
for
due till
leading
December and we'll get it handled. And I am
Ooh.
optimistic that we'll get it.
The most they can.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, me. Go.
Hey,
Michelle is
I'm
on
optimistic for
it. The
The right
everything. so-
person for the job.
Okay.
Quantum physics.
Yeah. So this is
So
definitely.
can we vote on this?
Yeah. Right.
No.
So number 3 is just going to be an ongoing. So we're just basically rolling that over. So
Okay.
yeah. And there's different grants out there. Michelle is on it. We're just going to keep going for it because there are things that just cannot be done at the community center and unless there is a master site plan done first.
Okay.
And that's unfortunately just the way it is. And so we're just gonna keep that on the work plan going forward.
I think we're looking good.
Okay. And so with the conclusion of the number 2, our brand logo, that leaves us with 3 goals so far going into the 25 to 26 work plan. How's everybody feeling about that? They're pretty solid,
I think we're good
especially with
these
the
3 right now.
the on-site programming.
Yeah. It's gonna take some.
Being pretty major.
Yeah.
And we've done such amazing work so far.
Mhm.
In the last 2 years, the accomplishments have been significant, and
Yeah.
I think everybody should be really proud of that. So now we're not voting on anything today.
Dang.
It's just Simona's ready to vote, people. But this was just a time to, ask questions, and just kind of hash out what we were thinking, we wanted to have in the work plan, going forward. So what we'll do
We can
is
vote on agreeing to the plan.
we're talking about the plan. And then, what we will do is at our next meeting, on November 19th, is when I'll actually, do the, can I get a, blah, blah,
Amen.
blah. And, somebody's gonna, second and we're gonna vote.
Put it in the record.
Yeah, so that it goes into the official record as the Gladstone Community Center Advisory Board Work Plan for 2025 to 2026. And so if anybody has anything else that they want to talk about, I mean, I know that, we all have ideas about the programming and things like that. I would suggest, if you've got a list of things that you've come up with, send them to Michelle. Email Michelle, who's gonna have a big,
so far.
who's gonna have a,
Wow.
a big old binder of the ideas. And so, okay. Does anybody else have any other questions about the work plan or comments?
No, I think we're good.
Does everybody feel okay about it?
And thank you for the work session.
We're not done yet.
We're
No,
not
I know
done.
that, but well, maybe Simona and I. I don't know.
We're
I know,
on,
right? I
we're
thought,
on
no,
number 3.
Yeah,
I know you.
no, I thank you so much for asking to have a work session because it absolutely never occurred to me. It never occurred to me that it would be nice to have a little bit more of an informal,
Mhm.
where where we can just throw out our ideas, make sure we're all on the same page. I know it
Mhm.
feels weird sometimes sitting up there and we can't see each other because,
Right.
It is-
and
This
It
is
isn't
great.
the
I like
same.
this.
Yeah.
and so I think one of the things that we can talk about as a board is how often we want to have a work session.
Mhm.
This is something that is fully within your powers to decide. If you want to have an annual, maybe like now,
This
right?
is great.
Before
An onset.
we have to go to the city council, the Gladstone City Council, and present our work
Yeah.
plan, that we have a really, substantial work session where we
And
can
you've gotten
hash it
input,
through.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and this is very healthy.
Yeah,
There's a lot here.
there's a
Yeah,
lot.
I think
Taking
these
a lot
3
going
points
on.
we have to work on, it's
Yeah.
plenty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we, like I said, as a board, we can decide that, maybe every October, our October meeting is a work session
Yeah, why
meeting,
not?
Absolutely.
And if we
then-
need another one, maybe one of the points is a little bit more complex, we can add
Sure.
another one in there.
You bet.
So,
Absolutely. And then that brings us to regularity of the Gladstone Community Center board meetings in 2025. It was suggested to me that I check in with the board to
mhm.
see if meeting monthly is the way you want to go, or if any changes. If you want to make any changes to the regularity every other month.
Every other month for me.
Mm.
I started with this, originally, didn't we meet every other month originally? And then. it
No,
became-
we've always been monthly. right?
No.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
during.
Have we?
There
No,
there were
it-
some times.
During
when
COVID,
we-
maybe?
there
No.
was a postponement.
When I started, we didn't meet every month.
We always have as long
I
as
have.
I've been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did.
Okay.
But there are other
pretty
groups
sure.
that don't meet every month.
That's true.
So.
That is true, which is
Yeah.
why it was brought up that, we get to decide,
Yeah.
yes, how often. And again, this is, we can talk about it
Mm.
at our work session. We're not gonna make any decisions or vote on anything. That will be at our next session. But I'm opening it up to a discussion.
I thought with the summer vacation
That was nice.
and then
I like
once
the
a month.
flexibility. I think once a month, especially if we've got some new activities down there, we're going to be looking.
Yeah,
But I like the flexibility of being able to say, hey, I think summer, we could skip July or whatever.
well, we skipped 2 months.
2 months,
Mhm.
yeah, July and
Yeah.
August.
Which,
Was helpful for me
yeah,
Good.
with
good.
music on the greens
Yeah.
and
Sure.
all that
Yeah.
kind of
Busy,
stuff.
some
So.
Yeah.
busy,
Yeah.
some-
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so do we want to continue to meet monthly except for the summer break?
I
Yes.
would.
Or
go
do we
for
want to
that.
go for every other month?
Monthly.
month.
Monthly
I
Monthly
think monthly is good.
and
with summers off.
summer vacation.
And our summers, we consider to be July and August.
Probably, yeah,
Would you still want to meet in June?
yes.
Okay,
What do you think of that, Michelle? Meeting in June? Do you think it's?
I'm here for you guys. So whatever you guys decide is fine with me. I'm always make this work.
Nothing is cast in stone, that's the one good thing about small town.
okay, so
Until you
monthly
vote.
with July and August, summer break. All right. And then last item is our Gladstone Community Center Advisory Board vacancies coming up. At the end of this year, we've got Simona,
Yep.
Evelyn, and Sylvia, all coming due for your term. That would be December 31st, 2024. Of course, we invite you to apply again for your board position, should you choose to do so. And Haley, could you please remind me of the deadline for those? Thank you so much. I am sorry. I meant to look that up and I forgot. There is a deadline to apply. And how do, Evelyn isn't here today.
No, but I will talk to her.
Thank you.
She's
Okay.
on a vacation.
Yeah,
trip,
good for
so,
her.
Yeah.
That is
I just had a question. How do you guys usually open it up to the public to look for new board members? Like, how did you
It's
do it?
advertised. I believe that it's already being
Yeah.
advertised, board
It's in the
positions.
paper.
It's in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Been for
And
Anyone
months.
yeah.
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 can apply.
And it's kind of almost like a running ad because there's always board vacancies, across all of the different boards. So ours has been really nicely staffed for a long time. So we're not one of those boards that just kind of has a lot of vacancies, unfortunately. But yeah, it is being advertised right now.
And you can
So
serve on 2 boards, can't you?
Yes.
yes, I do.
Yeah. What's your
So
other?
traffic and safety.
I was thinking.
You
park.
just can't be I can't be chair of 2
Yeah, oh,
boards.
Yeah.
I
And I
wouldn't want
can't-
to.
I can't remember which one it is, but it's either budget or audit that they suggest you just do
That makes sense.
because
Numbers.
I think it's budget because technically, being on a different board, you could have,
Impact.
yes.
Yeah, it would be.
I think
conflict.
this
Conflict.
should have this sort of funds because of
Yeah,
what my board is trying to do.
Right.
yeah.
The deadline for applications is December 3rd.
Okay,
That is because it'll go to council
right.
on the December meeting.
Okay, so December 3rd is the deadline, and then it goes to the Gladstone City Council. All right, can you let Evelyn know?
Yes.
December 3rd, thank you so much. Okay. Does anybody have anything else? This is your moment.
This has been a great group, you guys.
Yay.
And I've been sitting on the board for a few years. I've got 1 year left, I think. No, till 26.
I think you and I are on the same
Yep. Yep.
same schedule.
Yep.
So, yep.
Seen a lot of changes. Of course, the pandemic had some impact,
Yeah.
but we rebounded.
Mm.
Yep. Thank you, Michelle.
And congratulations,
Thank you,
Michelle.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Congrats.
What are we congratulating?
She's the new manager of the community center.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah,
I knew that.
no. She was already doing the
Congratulations.
work.
Of
Now
course,
she's got the title.
absolutely.
The whole team works well.
Mhm.
They've got it.
It's so important when you have your right people.
Yeah.
We have a great team. Sharon's absolutely right. The volunteer involvement at the community center, I cry about it all the time in front of them. We couldn't do it without them.
No.
So it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen as far as community involvement is how many people come together, I had a volunteer out today that was just delivering Meals on Wheels. I'm just going to share this with you really quickly.
Yes, please.
She was out delivering Meals on Wheels. Her last person said, my dog, something with her dog was out of pet food and wanted to know if she could just take her to the grocery store really quick. She had already been delivering meals for an hour and a half, then took another 2 hours out of her time to take this lady grocery shopping.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Who is a homebound senior and just needed to get out of her house anyways. But she was coming back, after I was coming back from my lunch today, and I was just like, where have you been? She's just out there, positively impacting her community in just such a beautiful way. I don't know.
Gladstone community.
That's so
Gladstone
great.
Community is amazing. I
Mhm.
knew one of the volunteers, I'm not gonna tell you who was at the elementary school. In a job that was very important. And I volunteered in kindergarten for 10 years. You'd think I'd had enough, but because I worked with attorneys, you'd think I'd had enough. And she was amazing, and she recognized me for my dedication, and I knew that she would transition to volunteer, that she's born to.
Yeah. She's
Fantastic.
still amazing to this day and does a lot for the center without anyone even knowing.
I
She's
have no
100
idea who you're talking about.
And you
so
would
yes,
never,
very-
because she's never
very
there and
anonymous.
she's completely behind the scenes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. I just can't say enough about the volunteers at the community center ever. I will never have enough to say, enough gratitude to show to them. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Keep
Josie's
telling
one of
them.
them. Josie takes blood pressure for people yep. And
That's
Very
important.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to, but last
Mhm.
couple of months, nobody even cares.
I don't know.
And now that I've lost Shar, she's the first one with her arm out. Yeah, and I do that card thing, which has been a real kick for me, is doing a birthday card for everybody on their volunteer list or whatever.
And I'm sorry I didn't just say that because that's actually been one of the best new programs that we've started this year.
Really, people like it.
100, I mean, they feel so special that they usually thank me, but Josie every month is writing out birthday cards to everyone who is registered at the community center. So homebound participants, people who come in,
Oh.
volunteers, it does not matter. You are getting a card.
That is so special.
And yes, and she doesn't take any credit for that. She puts it that it's from us. And
Signed them all. Happy birthday from the Gladstone Community Center staff.
That's fantastic.
so, yeah,
Oh,
and
'cause,
they
you know,
really, it makes a huge, I mean, I can't start to tell you how many people have been like, oh, that's the only card I got, or
yeah,
so
yeah.
thank you. Yeah.
That's a huge
Michelle, you have been
thing.
amazing.
That's amazing.
Regardless of the designation and the title, you have always been amazing. So just know how much we appreciate you. So
Yeah.
I was there.
I was there.
I was there too.
You must.
I was volunteering at the desk, yeah.
Only come for a little while. I had to work. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
have we adjourned the meeting or were we just chatting?
Oh, God. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Haley. All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I
adjourn this meeting.
Motion made by Roxanne. Josie seconds. Okay, Haley, call the vote.
Sylvia Kellner,
Yes.
Simona Gergashon,
yes.
Mindy Prosky.
Yes.
Roxanne McMullen.
Yes.
Josie Whitaker,
Yes.
Sharon Howard.
Yes.
Okay, meeting is adjourned at 4:48 p.m. The next meeting is November 19th at 3:30. Thank you, everybody.